Hey everyone, and welcome to HDpiano. My name is JC, and in today's lesson, we're going to be learning how to play Piano Jam No. 1 by Kygo. In this first part, I'll teach you how to play the intro to this tune, which sounds like this. All right, that was the intro. To check out part 2 and the rest of the sections, head over to HDpiano.com. Now, before we dig into this, I do have a question for you guys. I think most everybody agrees that Kygo is pretty awesome as far as artists go, but there seems to be a common disagreement about how you pronounce his name. I think the European nations go with Kygo most often, and then over in the American nations, it's Kygo. But I want to know what you guys think. What does our listeners or our viewers think about this issue? So how do you pronounce his name? Drop a comment below. I'd love to see what you guys think. All right, let's dig into it. There's a few things I want you to know. This is middle C on our keyboard, so you know exactly where we are. And we're going to start this by taking apart those left hand chords. So we're going to dig in with just the left hand for the first part. Now, I want you to know that I've got my metronome set to 105, and the time signature starts at 3/4 time. However, it alternates to 4/4 time every other bar. So we'll be counting 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is going to happen for this entire song. All right, so let's start out with those left-hand chords, like I said before. So we're going to start with A minor. Now, all of these left-hand chords are truly just that. They're only left-hand, except for this very first chord. It's a little bit fuller of a chord, and we need that help from the right hand. Unless you guys can reach all 4 of those notes, my hand just won't quite do that. But if you can't do that, if you're like me, you'll want to use that right hand. So it's an A, an E, an A, and then you put that right hand C on top of it to really fill it out nice. So that's our first chord. Now you're done with the left hand for the next couple of minutes. So then after that first chord, it's G over B, which is B, G, and B. And your next chord is a big full C major, C, E, G, and C. Now the first chord, that A, is a half note, next one's a quarter, and the next one's a whole. And all that means is we count the first one gets 2 beats, the second one gets 1, and the last one is in the second bar, which is a 4/4 bar, meaning it gets 4 beats. So it goes like this: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so let's look at those chords again. It's A, E, A with a right hand C, G over B, which is B, G, and B, and C major, C, E, G, and C. All right, and that's our first phrase. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's got the left hand first phrase of the intro. Now let's look at the second phrase. That starts on F, which is F, C, and F. And then our next chord is a G, G, D, and G. And the last chord of the second phrase is A, E, and A. So one more time, that's F, C, and F, G, D, and G, and A, E, and A. Now, our rhythm pattern is the same as before. It gets a half note, which is 2 beats, quarter note, 1 beat, and now we're in our 4/4 bar for a whole note that gets 4 beats. So to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now let's put all 6 of those chords together and play both of those phrases together. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right? Those are the first 2 phrases of the left hand for the intro. Now, before we move to the third and fourth phrase, let's go ahead and get the right hand parts for these 2 phrases. We're going to start up here on the A above middle C. So this is our A. and then we jump up to the octave above. So those are the first two notes you play with the right hand. And we're going to divide our beats up into 16th notes. So 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a. And these first two notes fall on the and a of 1. So it's 1 E and a, 1 E and a. Okay? So just to give you some context, after we put the hands together in a few minutes, you'll hear, because that chord is on 1. 1 E and a, 1 E and a. Okay? So the first phrase starts like that, and then the very next note is an E, and it's really just nicely placed for our 3 finger. Ba-da-bop, land on that E. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is jump down and play that E again with your 5 finger. And the reason I want to have you jump down and use a different finger instead of 3 is because you've then immediately got to play 2 Ds together. You have to really stretch to make this happen. You need a thumb on the bottom D and the forefinger on the top D. Now, if you have really small hands and you just can't quite make it, then you can get away with playing that twice with the 3 and then just jump down like this. It's gonna be a little harder for you though. So my recommendation is 1 finger, 5 finger, 3 finger, and then 5, and then 1 and 4. Now let's talk about that E right before the D's. That E is actually just a little pickup note for rhythm. So it's ba-dum, ba-dum. It's just there to set us up as a little pickup note into those D's. Ba-dum. So kind of think of that second E almost outside of the melody altogether. Ba-da-dum, ba-dum. Okay? So the first one is part of the melody. The second one's just a little ornament there. All right? So you've got the A's, the E, ba-dum into your 2 D's, and then the next note in the melody is E with the 5 finger, and you land on C with a 3 finger. And that's the first phrase. So let's take that slow. 1 E and 2 E. Now notice that E, this will be easy to remember, that E lands on the E of 2 as far as counting goes. 1 E and 2 E and those are on 3 and then the C is on 1 in our 4/4 bar, which will meet us at our C major chord in the left hand, but we'll put the hands together in a few minutes. All right, one more time, that first phrase. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1. Okay? Practice that slow over and over. And speed up every time you practice it. Eventually you'll have it at tempo. But that will take practice because you got to jump around a little bit to make it happen. But eventually you want to be all the way up to 105 beats per minute. Okay? And that's the first phrase. Now let's put the left hand with that first phrase. So that chord, your B, G, and B, which is just G over B, hits at the same time those 2 Ds in the right hand. And then there's your whole note, 4 beats in the left hand, C major. All right, now we're going to start the second phrase of the right hand, which starts on 2 C's. But I want to talk about transitioning from phrase 1 to phrase 2. So at the end of phrase 1, we're going to do another one of those little ornamental pickup notes. Now it's not ba-dum like before. It's like on the end of 4 and 1. So 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1. Okay? So between phrase 1 and phrase 2, you play a C. Okay? And now we're into phrase 2, and it's 2 C's in the right hand, bottom and top. And we're going to hold the bottom one for 2 whole beats. And then the melody goes. Okay, so let's just look at the top right now. It's 1 E and 2 E and 1 E and 2 E and then we go down to 2 B's, 1 on the thumb, 1 on the 4, 3 and and then we land on 2 C's, and that's how we end phrase 2. So let's look at phrase 2 in the context. One more time, and play that really slow until you get that really nice and at home in your hands. Okay, so now that's what phrase 2 looks like. So let's put those two together. All right, now let's put the left hand in phrase 2. So phrase 2 starts on 2 C's, and remember, phrase 2 in the left hand starts on F, F, C, and F. G, D, and G, remember we discussed that before. And now A, E, and A, and the C on top makes it an A minor, so this is an A minor chord. So those two phrases together, both hands. Two, three, four, and. All right, and that's the end of phrase 2. Now phrase 3 starts with that D minor in the left hand, and the first two notes start just like phrase 1 did, on the and-a of 1. But before we get too far into that phrase, let's talk about transitioning from phrase 2 to phrase 3. Remember, we're doing those little pickups. So the first one was and, but this one's going to be 2 16th notes. So we just ended phrase 2. Here's phrase 2. 2, 3, 4, and those are your pickups into phrase 3, and ba-da, and now you're on phrase 3. 1 E and 2 E, okay? Now phrase 3 in the right hand is identical to phrase 1. After your pickup notes, now that's phrase 1 all over again. The only difference is it lands with 2 C's instead of just 1. 2 C's, okay? All right, that's phrase 3. All right, now let's look at the left hand of phrase 3. All right, so. All right, one more time. Now we're ready for phrase 4, and we do the same passing note as we did from phrase 1 to 2. So going from 3 to 4, it's a C again. 2 C's. Now this should sound pretty familiar, and that's because it is exactly the same as the second phrase with one small difference. We end the phrase, which is the very end of our intro, with this little grace note, B to C. But it goes instantly, ba-dum, ba-dum. Gives a little character there. So there's phrase 3. Let's put the right hand with it. So once you've learned the right hand phrase 1 and 2, you pretty much have it for phrase 3 and 4. It's pretty much identical with the differences we outlined, which is simply that phrase 4 starts with 2 C's and ends with C and B, and resolves up to the C with the little grace note. Those are your major differences. So let's do phrase 3 and 4 together. That's phrase 3. Here comes 4. 3, 4. All right, friends. So let's take that from the very beginning, and we'll do it slow one time, and then we'll do it at tempo one time. Here's the whole intro slow. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 4 and 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. All right, now let's do it at tempo. Here we go. All right, friends, that's got us to the end of this part 1 tutorial. That was the intro to the song, and I want to congratulate you on making it this far. You've just learned this entire section, which is really awesome. So if you guys want to, head on over to HDpiano.com to tackle the remaining sections. We would love to see you there. If you're on YouTube, we hope you'll subscribe, give us a like if you enjoyed this video, and drop a comment below because we love to interact with our audience. After you get done doing that, you can come find us over on social media. We look forward to seeing you for part 2 of this lesson at HDpiano.com, the home of the hybrid piano lesson.